Okay, so I want to share something with you, and I'm genuinely a little excited about this because what's happening tomorrow, April 1st, honestly, this isn't your average full moon moment, not even just another Libra full moon. I honestly think this is one of the most significant cosmic events of the year when it comes to relationships, karma, and the balance we've all been quietly craving. Tomorrow evening, the full moon in Libra peaks at exactly 12 degrees, and what comes with it is this enormous wave of what I can only call cosmic reckoning. Like the universe has been keeping score this whole time, and it's finally ready to settle up. And if you've been carrying this low-level tension lately, this sense that something is building and you can't quite name it, I don't think that's random. You're already tuning in. And here's the thing I really want you to know up front. 3 specific zodiac signs are positioned to experience genuinely massive breakthroughs tomorrow. I'm talking real shifts in love, in relationships, and honestly, even in financial situations. If you're one of those signs, you're going to want to stay until the end. I'll tell you exactly who they are and what's opening up for them. But before I get there, I want to make sure you understand what's really going on beneath all of this. Because this full moon is not working in isolation. There's a whole cluster of energy surrounding it. And if your relationships have felt unusually charged or confusing lately, I promise there's a reason. It's not random. It's the setup for what's coming. The scales are tilting, and not everybody is going to be comfortable with where they land. So let me start with something I think most people misunderstand about Libra. When we picture Libra energy, we picture diplomacy, aesthetics, harmony, right? That's the surface version. But here's something that genuinely changed how I see this sign. Libra isn't actually about keeping things pleasant at any cost. It's about fairness. It's about true equilibrium. And sometimes, honestly, restoring real balance means completely dismantling the false version of peace that's been holding you in place. That's what I think tomorrow is really about. The scales of justice, not the scales of comfort. I really feel like the universe has reached its limit when it comes to watching us accept dynamics that don't actually honor us. Have you been noticing a shift lately? Maybe something you've been tolerating for a long time is suddenly feeling impossible to ignore. Maybe you're finally letting yourself see a pattern you've been explaining away. Or maybe there's this unexpected clarity arriving about who in your life genuinely shows up and who just benefits from you being there. That's not coincidence. That's this full moon doing its preliminary work. Because here's what Libra full moons do. They put a spotlight on every imbalance in your relational world. The places where you've been giving more than you've been receiving. The situations where you've been shrinking yourself to make space for someone else. The moments you've gone against your own needs because you didn't want to make things difficult. Tomorrow, all of that gets illuminated fully. The universe is handing down decisions. Some people are going to receive real breakthroughs as a result of the inner work they've been quietly doing. Others are about to encounter some really confronting truths about relationships they've been holding on to out of habit or fear. But I genuinely want you to sit with this. Whatever unfolds tomorrow is happening for your benefit, not as punishment. This is the recalibration you've been needing, even if you never consciously asked for it. Something is about to burst. And I mean that in the most literal way. Okay, so one of the details about this full moon that I find genuinely fascinating is the symbolic layer. The moon lands at the 13th degree of Libra, and there's this ancient system in astrology that assigns a unique image to every single degree of the zodiac. When I looked up the symbol for this particular degree, I honestly had to sit with it for a minute. It's children blowing soap bubbles. My first reaction was, wait, that seems almost too simple. But then something clicked, and it kind of blew my mind a little. Picture a soap bubble for a second. It catches the light in this gorgeous way, right? It floats perfectly, slowly, like it could stay up forever. It looks real. It looks substantial. But you know as well as I do that the moment anything real touches it, it's gone. And I think that's almost too perfect as a metaphor for what's about to happen in our relationships tomorrow. The connections that have been living mostly inside your imagination. The ones where you've been projecting what you hope is there rather than looking honestly at what actually is. The ones that photograph beautifully but feel hollow when you're actually in them. Those are the soap bubbles. And I really believe tomorrow is when they pop. I know that's uncomfortable to hear. And honestly, I've sat with this myself because some of my own relationships have felt like this lately. Beautiful on the surface, but not quite real underneath. And as painful as it can be when something like that ends, I think it's genuinely necessary. You can't build something that lasts on a foundation made of projection and hope. You just can't. This full moon is asking us to be honest about which of our relationships have real substance and which ones exist mostly in our heads. Which connections can withstand reality and which ones evaporate the moment they brush up against it. And here's the flip side of that, which I think is really important. If you are in something real, something built on actual honesty and mutual effort and real vulnerability, tomorrow deepens it. This energy doesn't only reveal what's fragile, it also reinforces what's solid. But if you've been papier-mâchéing over problems, telling yourself things will improve on their own, the universe is about to have a very direct conversation with you about that. Does that resonate? Because I've been sensing this pressure building for a while now, and I don't think I'm alone. The crow is here to clean house. So there's another piece of this full moon that I think is really worth understanding because it explains a lot about the intensity of the energy right now. The degree where the moon lands is connected to a fixed star called Algorab. It belongs to the constellation of the crow, and when I looked into the mythology around this, everything about this lunation started making more sense. In ancient traditions, the crow is not a frightening symbol. It's a purifying one. It's a scavenger that clears decay. It doesn't politely look away from what's rotting. It processes it so that the environment can stay healthy. So when this full moon activates that energy, I really believe we're entering a period of serious clearing, especially in our closest relationships. Crow energy isn't gentle. It doesn't do diplomatic small talk. It doesn't soften things for the sake of comfort. It goes straight for whatever has been dishonest, whatever's been manipulative, whatever's been hiding just below the surface, and it brings it up into the light. If there's been someone in your life operating with a hidden agenda, you're about to find out. If a dynamic has been quietly draining you while appearing fine on the outside, it's coming into focus. And I know that sounds like a lot, but honestly, I think this is actually the most caring thing the universe can do. The crow clears away what's dead so something living can grow. I've been feeling this personally. This sense that certain connections have just run their course, not because of any dramatic event, but because the energy has simply shifted. And I think for a lot of us, tomorrow is going to make that undeniably clear. 3 cosmic triggers in 72 hours. Now here's where it gets really layered in a way I find fascinating. Tomorrow's full moon isn't standing alone. There are 3 significant planetary alignments happening within roughly 72 hours of this full moon, and together they function like a concentrated delivery system for relationship karma. When I mapped this all out, it honestly took my breath away a little. The first trigger already happened just recently. The sun formed a really powerful connection with something called Black Moon Lilith. And if Lilith is a new concept for you, the simplest way I can describe her is the part of you that absolutely refuses to be made smaller. The wildest, most unedited, most unapologetically authentic version of yourself. So what does it mean when the sun, your core identity, aligns with that energy right before a justice-focused full moon? I think it means we're being handed the courage to finally stop performing, to stop contorting ourselves into shapes that other people find manageable while quietly abandoning who we actually are. If you've been feeling this almost electric sense of, I don't know, like a defiant self-reclamation, that's this. You're taking yourself back. And tomorrow, the full moon turns up the volume on that even more. The second trigger lands on April 3rd, Mercury connecting with Jupiter. And honestly, this one feels like a gift. It's like the cleanup crew that arrives after the hard work is done. After the truth has surfaced, after the bubble has popped, after the crow has done its clearing, this aspect creates the conditions for healing conversations, for communication that comes from a place of real generosity and emotional wisdom. If tomorrow brings difficult endings or confronting realizations, the third provides space for resolution, for saying what needs to be said with genuine care, for finding the kind of closure that actually feels complete rather than just finished. But the third trigger, this is the one I think makes this entire period particularly powerful for love, karma specifically. Venus is squaring Pluto. On April 3rd, Venus, which governs love, relationships, values, and honestly money too, forms this really intense aspect with Pluto, the planet of transformation, power dynamics, and everything that operates beneath the surface. Here's my honest read on what this means. Any relationship that's been held together by manipulation, by imbalanced power, by financial control, or by emotional tactics, it's headed for a rapid implosion. The Venus-Pluto square is the karmic engine behind all of this. It forces a confrontation with every place you've traded your own power for the feeling of security. Maybe you've stayed somewhere because leaving feels financially overwhelming. Maybe you've accepted treatment you know isn't right because loneliness scares you more. Maybe you've been holding on to someone who keeps you feeling small because your own potential feels terrifying. Whatever the specific shape of it, this aspect stops letting you look away. And I want to be honest with you. This can hurt. When Pluto enters the picture, things end so they can transform. That's just what he does. But here's what I keep coming back to when I think about this transit. If a connection can't survive it, it wasn't built to last. And the universe is clearing the path for something so much more aligned. On the other side of this, and I think this is just as important, if you're in something genuine, something honest and mutually empowering, this transit makes it stronger. The universe essentially tests the foundation, and what's real gets reinforced, while what was held together with wishful thinking comes apart. So this isn't only about loss. It's about truth. It's about power. It's about your relationships finally reflecting your actual value instead of your unhealed patterns. And if you've been doing the work, if you've been showing up with real integrity, I genuinely think you're about to be rewarded for that. Which brings me to the 3 signs who are positioned to receive the biggest shifts tomorrow. Libra, you're reclaiming yourself. Okay. If you're a Libra, I need you to really hear this, because tomorrow is genuinely your moment. This full moon is happening directly in your sign, and I truly believe this is your breakthrough. For a long time, maybe years, you've been the one who adjusts, the one who softens, who mediates, who makes sure everyone else is okay, while quietly letting your own needs go unmet. You've been so skilled at balance that you've accidentally balanced yourself right out of the equation. But tomorrow, something fundamental changes. That fixed star, Algorab, the crow, is activating directly in your sign. And what I think that means for you is that you're being given the actual courage to stop people-pleasing, to set boundaries without the spiral of guilt and fear of abandonment that's kept you frozen. And here's the part that I find really remarkable. Your ruling planet Venus is going through that intense square with Pluto right now. So this isn't just about drawing a line in the sand. You're undergoing a complete rewiring around your own worth. Something inside you is recognizing, maybe for the first time really viscerally, that your value doesn't live in your usefulness to other people. It doesn't depend on how agreeable or accommodating or beautiful or easy you can be. That realization shifts your entire energetic field. When you stop performing the role of perfect partner and just exist as who you actually are, something incredible happens. The dynamics that required you to be small simply don't fit anymore. They fall away, and what arrives in their place, or what evolves in your existing connections, honors who you actually are. If you're also navigating anything legal or contract related right now, tomorrow brings real momentum toward resolution. The scales are balancing, and for you specifically, they're tipping toward justice. Aries, your relationship breakthrough is arriving. If you're an Aries, this full moon is landing in your relationship sector, the part of your chart that governs committed partnerships, one-on-one connections, contracts, and collaborations. It's all lit up. And I think what's happening for you right now goes even deeper than a typical relational shift, because you also have Chiron sitting close to your sun, doing this profound healing work around identity, and your right to simply be who you are without having to earn it. Here's what I see unfolding. You lead naturally. You go first. You move fast and you love the chase. But the Libra full moon is asking you to build real fluency in the other side of partnership, in receiving, in truly listening, in sharing the wheel instead of always needing to be the one driving. And with all of these alignments converging, I really think a karmic block around genuine intimacy is breaking open for you tomorrow. Maybe you've kept your walls up. Maybe your drive for independence has quietly pushed away the vulnerability that deep connection requires. Maybe the relationships you've attracted have felt more like competitions than collaborations. Whatever the pattern, it's shifting. For single Aries, you might find someone entering your world who matches your intensity, but brings a kind of grounded balance with them. Someone who can actually keep pace with you without needing to dominate or be dominated. For those already in partnerships, you're headed for a depth of connection you probably haven't let yourself experience yet. And here's a bonus. Your ruling planet Mars is building towards some really favorable connections over the next week, which opens doors around sudden financial shifts, unexpected collaborations, and breakthroughs in anything involving shared resources. This isn't just emotional. There are real material blessings in this for you too. Cancer, your emotional investment is paying off. Cancer, I'll be honest, when I looked at the astrology for this full moon and how it's affecting your sign, I felt genuinely moved. Because you've been putting in so much. You invest emotionally in ways most people don't even register as work. Into your relationships, your home, your family, the people you love. And there have probably been stretches where you've wondered silently, when does it come back? When does someone show up for me the way I've been showing up for everyone else? Tomorrow, I think you start getting your answer. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, abundance, and genuine good fortune, is currently moving through your sign. And Jupiter in Cancer is one of the most protective and generous placements that exist in astrology. It amplifies what you care about most. It creates overflow where there's been scarcity. This full moon is activating your home and family sector, your foundation, your roots, your deepest sense of belonging. And I really believe you're about to see a meaningful return on years of emotional giving. That might look like a long-standing family tension finally resolving. A housing or real estate situation shifting in your favor. A romantic relationship, finally providing the emotional safety you've been quietly longing for. Or just a moment where someone finally sees and acknowledges everything you've been carrying. You also have those beautiful supportive aspects coming in on April 3rd with Mercury and Jupiter. Conversations that have felt stuck or circular suddenly open up. The things you've been trying to communicate but couldn't quite get through. People are ready to hear them now, and you can finally express what you need without the guilt that usually comes with it. But honestly, I think the most significant thing happening for you is this. You're in the process of breaking generational patterns. The emotional cycles that have been passed down through your lineage, the ones you inherited without choosing them, they're ending with you. You're establishing a new baseline for what emotional safety and reciprocity actually look like. And that healing, it ripples outward to everyone connected to you. The universe is honoring your softness, your willingness to keep your heart open, even when hardening it would have been so much easier. And tomorrow, you step into a real authority around that, without shrinking or apologizing for it. What everyone should know for tomorrow. Okay, so regardless of your sign, I think there are some things worth keeping in mind as we head into this full moon energy, because it's going to be strong and it's going to be direct. First, pay attention to what reveals itself. If someone shows you something true about themselves tomorrow, receive it. Don't rush to reframe it or make excuses for them. The truth being shown is a gift, even when it stings. Second, if you feel called toward a difficult conversation, trust that. The energy right now genuinely supports honesty. You might be surprised by how available people are to real talk, even when it's uncomfortable. And if they're not open to it, honestly, that's information too. Third, be gentle with yourself. If something ends tomorrow, if an illusion shatters, if you finally have to look at something you've been avoiding, it's okay to grieve that. Endings carry grief even when they're the right thing. Give yourself full permission to feel whatever surfaces. And fourth, trust the process. I really mean this. The universe isn't clearing things from your life and leaving you with nothing. It's making room for what actually belongs there. For relationships that honor you the way you've been honoring others. For connections that feel like genuine home rather than ongoing emotional labor. Tomorrow might feel more like a breaking point than a breakthrough in the moment. The two can look identical from the inside of them. But I genuinely believe that when you look back on this in a few months, you're going to understand exactly why this had to happen when it did. Why the scales needed to tip. Why the truth needed air. This is liberation arriving in the form of disruption. I want to leave you with this as we go into tomorrow. This full moon is not here to take things from you. Everything that falls away, every toxic dynamic, every illusion, every one-sided connection, that's your life getting lighter. That's clarity. That's space. Karmic justice isn't a punishment. It's an alignment. It's the universe making sure what's around you reflects who you're actually becoming, not who you used to be or who you've been trying to be, just to keep the peace. Because if you've been doing the inner work, if you've been showing up honestly, if you've been growing, you cannot stay in containers that require you to stay small. And the universe, honestly, isn't going to keep letting you try. So tomorrow, things get real. The comfortable gets disrupted. The masks come off, and the illusions dissolve. It might feel like chaos for a moment. But what's actually happening, I truly believe this, everything is falling into its right place. Finally, before I go, if you made it to the end, thank you. Genuinely. I know this covered a lot of ground, and I really appreciate you being here for it. If this landed for you, and you want to stay connected to this kind of content, subscribing would mean so much to me. And if you have people in your life who could use this, especially if they're Libra, Aries, or Cancer, please pass it along. This feels like information people deserve to have going into tomorrow. Take care of yourself tonight. Rest if you can. And when the moon is full tomorrow and the balancing begins, just remember, whatever gets revealed is being revealed because you're ready for what comes next. I'll see you in the next one.